Hey there, it's Patrick Carver from FlashIssue.com, and we're here to help you learn how to build an audience for your blog or website. We're going to talk to John Saddington of TentBlogger.com, who's been able to build a wildly successful career as an internet blogger. Hey John, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, I do a number of things, but certainly blogging has been one of the longer-standing passions of mine. I actually started blogging in 2001, so it's been over 10 years. And back then, blogging wasn't really blogging as we know it today. It was more like saving a HTML file and uploading it via FTP. So if that was blogging, then that's what I was doing. Now, I had no idea that I would eventually build very much of a career around it. But I decided that I would try to publish once a day, not multiple times, and see if anyone cared to listen. That's for 10 years from then, and it's done some interesting things. So I've really enjoyed it, and I don't mind continuing to do it every single day for myself and for the businesses that I run.
The first big hurdle for any website is getting traffic, but then once you start accumulating some of that, how do you actually engage that audience?
Yeah, there's there's tons of great resources about how to use Facebook and Twitter and a number of those other social media properties. But what I have discovered time and time again is if you're going to try to create a significant point of critical mass for either a blog or a business or some online product or service or whatever, the goal should always be, let's choose one of those properties and become incredible at them. I shared this the other day in a meetup I had, as well as I wrote just a few thoughts about it. But I have opted specifically for TentBlogger to go deep on Twitter, and everything else is really a far cry from the amount of time I spend on Twitter. And I've decided, it's better than I go deep on Twitter, spend an incredible amount of time there, curating the audience, engaging with the audience, and find those results rather than diluting my effort and my time, especially, which is incredibly limited for a startup or really any freelancer or a guy on the web for that matter. Instead of diluting my efforts across multiple different channels and not getting the significant results. So what you'll even see on my Facebook page, my TentBlogger Facebook page, is incredibly low engagement, if anything at all. I'll post, I'll repost the blog post that I've written on TentBlogger on it, and perhaps I'll have one or two comments maybe a week. But it's paltry compared to Twitter, and I'm okay with that because I'm just a one guy, trying to manage a blog, and I've been okay with not being an expert at everything, just choosing one. And what I've discovered is as I counsel with other people to do that, as they've chosen one instead of felt the pressure to be on Google Plus and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and then all the other social sharing sites like Reddit and Dig and StumbleUpon and yada, 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 is that they can
Okay, so if a good strategy is go after one social channel in particular, how do you choose that one for yourself?
And they go further has a pretty good intuition, especially if they're business owners, unless they're complete idiots. But I think typically people have a pretty good intuition about where their core audience sits. And for me, without question, most of my audience comes from Twitter. It always has. Just historically throughout my time online. So that's where I was going to spend most of my time anyway. That's where I'm going to engage them more heavily, and of course, that's what I'm most interested in. I think that's a good rubric to follow as well. There are certain properties or certain ways of engaging with the community online that you're more naturally bent toward, and you should probably invest in those because those are more enjoyable, and they're as a consequence, it's more sustainable as an interest for you and for your business. So I think a little bit of due diligence, even maybe a little bit of research on the front end might be helpful, but otherwise you probably, the business owner or the startup or the product owner might have a good idea. This is where most people are coming from. The goal, though, long term, is to create organic returns. People that are coming to the blog and your website through organic traffic, people who are looking for particular keywords based on the products and services that you offer, and those people are coming without you giving any time and attention to them, and that's an incredible return. For example, a good vast majority of the the traffic that I get from temp bloggers is organic. So it's our traffic that I haven't purchased, like through advertisers or anything, which I actually don't do anyway. But some companies do, and they have great results. But they're coming naturally, just looking for solutions. And again, it goes back to my idea: if you can create incredible value for people and not solicit them all the time, I think it pays off in spades long term.
There are a lot of generic resources out there for social media, but how do you move beyond just the superficial engagement?
Yeah, there's a lot of great companies who have incredible white papers and research, and I really am not an expert on social engagement. But I do know that creating value for people and answering their felt needs is something that I try to do all the time. And sometimes research can give you those answers. For example, if I can go into at any point in time, especially now, Template has been around for a while, but I can go into my analytics and take a look at the keywords and the questions that they're already asking. And if I haven't answered those things specifically, I can easily write a blog post about it. And so organic traffic is providing source content for me, clarified and almost audited content for me already. So I can go into my analytics and say, hey, I don't know what to write about. Let's see what people really want me to write about. So I'll go in and source from there. And the other times, it's just your audience, you have a good idea of what they're dealing with, and you can begin to create content aimed at them specifically. Again, for example, when I started Print Blogger, my target audience was a completely new blogger. You go all the way back in the archives. First 100 posts were about stuff that is so basic that it would make your ears bleed. Just because, especially for you and I, perhaps just because it's common language. But you'll see blog posts that are titled, "What is a blog? What is a blogger? What is blogging? What type of blog should you have? What is web posting?" It's just like incredibly basic stuff that I had clarified that's what the people that I wanted to serve. People who are just engaging with the internet at large, really, beyond just clicking on a news article from their mother who emailed them, or them a chain letter. These people have no concept of what a blog is, what a website is, even how they use software. What is in software to begin with? And those are the people that I want to serve. And so I wrote content specifically for them. And those people, it's really neat to see that those people who first engaged with me a couple years back, I began to answer questions. They're still readers. They still comment. But their web properties are incredible. They didn't even have them when they first encountered me. But now they're writing and they're blogging. And they're incredible channels. And so that's really neat to see. But it takes time.
Do you know of any big mistakes, or is there anything you warn people against doing when they're trying to build community engagement? Kind of mistakes you see a lot of people making out in the blog world?
I think, again, online there's just it's hit or miss. You never know what's going to stick, and for 9 and 99 out of 100 times you never know why it sticks anyway. So, but I know for sure, based on just human performance and being a human, that you just have limited time, and you have limited resources, and you have certainly limited amount of energy. And so I try to help people focus their time and attention on things that they feel are going to create the most return on investment or return of value, and also that they're most interested in. Just life is too short to spend time on things that you just don't like. And I consult and coach a lot of teams and individuals, executives, and I just say, these are the few things that you're incredibly good at. Let's not waste any other time. What's the stuff that you're mediocre in? Let's just do these one or two things. You'll do better. You'll go further. You'll create more value. You'll be more effective. You'll have more fun. Everyone else will have more fun because you're having fun. And your businesses and your relationships will thrive. So let's do that. Let's spend time in those things. And so the same goes with blogging. Just write about just a few things. I always say there's the category test. If you have double-digit categories, you probably have too many. I think 6 to 8 is really the sweet spot, and even 6 to 8 when you think about how general some people make their categories. I mean, you could write about infinite amount of things, but the internet doesn't herald, repeats or carbon copies, or they don't recognize people who are writing about what else is writing about. The internet glories in the original, and the only way you're going to do original stuff and write original content is really focus fire.
So what's the most important lesson you feel like you've learned in all of your career blogging and building these audiences that you could offer to the community in general?
The number one is time. It's a marathon, definitely not a sprint. You have to look at it from the long-term perspective. If you're looking for a quick win, or if you're looking for, a get-rich-quick scheme, it doesn't happen that way. Building an audience takes time. I think there's always an outlier. There's always a part of the bell curve that showcases someone who's done an overnight success, really. But I'm not so sure. And I think it takes time to build an audience. I love the stories of companies and startups, especially because I live in that world where you see them, making a critical acquisition or being acquired rather, or going IPO, and you say, and you take a look at their company's history, and you say, oh my gosh, they're 10 years old. They've been around since the 90s. You're just like, but and you say, but I just heard about them, yesterday for the first time, and now they're, the hot shiz, and I love Zappos. When Zappos got acquired for $1 billion, people were like, oh, have you heard of Zappos? And I remember them back in the early 2000s. I'm like, yeah, they've been around for 10 years. Like, where have you been? Like, they've been busting their butt for years, and no one's recognized them. And finally, the general, kind of mass media has gathered attention because they were acquired by, obviously a very large company that already had a huge landfill of the internet, and everyone thinks, they were an overnight success. Or you look at, and those stories just permeate throughout all of startup world. It's about those that persevere, and the fact that I had any success at all, depending on how you qualify success, but it's because I've been doing it for so freaking long. And there's no magic behind it. I'm not an incredible writer. You just have to ask my wife, and she'll tell, John's a terrible writer. And it really is true. She's actually a real writer. And the fact that I haven't stopped has given me some opportunities. And that's really it. There's really no magic to it. So for those who are just starting, you have to go long term. And for those who have been doing it for a couple years, don't give up, because the best is yet to come, and there are just things that you learn about doing something repeatedly over a very long time that you will have where most people will quit. I know very few people who, when I started blogging, are still blogging. In fact, I can count all of them on one hand, and no fingers are up, 0. When I started blogging, I had my entire dorm blogging. None of them are blogging anymore. So what are they doing? Some of them are on okay jobs. A couple are lawyers. One guy's an engineer. And to be honest, one guy works in an auto shop. Changing out audio equipment on high-end cars. Now that's kind of cool because you get to see a Ferrari and a Lamborghini every once in a while. But he had really big dreams. He just quit.
Well, that's going to bring it to a close for us. I want to thank John Saddington for joining us. And John, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Hope this was helpful. You can find most of what I do at my landing page, which is john.doe, john.do. And you'll find links to my two startups that I oversee. And stay tuned for some really neat news, especially on the WordPress front from 8-Bit. Thanks so much, Patrick. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, John.
All right, man.